Holcomb and Chesley McNeil both here with us. We'll start with Chris.
And we've been watching that moisture that's been moving through. Started off early this morning with a little bit of sleet at onset of precip. Then it changed over to snow. And that snow was heavy at times. And that's what gave us the inches of snow that we're seeing in some spots here. Now, the more consistent area of snow is mainly on the north side. Where you see the pinks and purple colors here, that's where we're seeing some mixing, where we have some rain, sleet, and freezing rain that is mixing in right now. And that is covering us up right now. We had some brief drying down to the south side. That's now beginning to fill back in with more moisture that's moving in. It's generally light sleet, light rain that's coming in, but there's a lot more back into Alabama that's going to keep moving our way tonight or this afternoon and tonight. So that's why the temperatures are very critical here that we're going to be watching. Just a difference between 1 to 2 degrees makes a huge difference in what type of conditions and impacts we're going to have. Here's a look at some of the snow totals so far, where we have, look at this, in Kirkwood, 3.5 inches of snow. Austell had 4 inches of snow. These are some official numbers coming in. Stone Mountain, 4 inches. We had some lighter amounts there in Smyrna at 2.3, Midtown, 2 inches of snow here. Also in Somerville, 2 inches. Carrollton about 1.8, almost 2 inches of snow that fell there. So that's what has been on the ground. This is our live view from our tower cam at Arizona Avenue. We wanted to show you this earlier, but the clouds were covering up our camera and we didn't see a good view of this. Now the ceiling has come up a little bit now, and we can see a good view of our city skyline. And there you see some of the snow on the rooftops, still on some of the roads and grassy areas there as well. And there's the cloud cover that is still pretty thick out there too. Here's a live view at Hartsfield. Jonathan just talked about that ground stop here. This is live. You can see the only movement there you see is that vehicle there up near one of the terminals. We don't see any planes on the runway right now. We do have planes that are over toward the terminals. We were watching earlier a lot of plows that were going up and down on these runways to hopefully make them much better for if this ground stop is actually going to end at 2 o'clock. We'll keep watching that, but it looks like they've made a lot of preparations there on those taxiways and runways to hopefully make the conditions a little bit better there. So we'll keep an eye on that, as again, any new precip right now is lighter over them, but then we've got more that's going to be coming in a little bit later. Temperatures in Atlanta just above freezing at 33 here in the Atlanta area. We do though see up in northeast Georgia where those temperatures are colder, near or below the freezing mark. Chesley McNeil joins us now. And Chesley, it's that area north and east of the city where we really have to watch for that shallow layer of colder air at the surface, where we might see more significant icing there when that rain falls onto those surfaces that are at freezing or below.
And that could be devastating for us, folks. We're talking about power outages at that particular point, and it's cold outside, as Chris just showed you those temperatures. And so if you lose your heat, and you may have some more problems. That moisture is continuing to come in, and you see how it's headed right toward our area, and that will continue to be the case, unfortunately, for the rest of the day into tonight. Watching an area of low pressure as it continues to slide a little bit further up to the north. If you watch, this is a 6-hour loop here, and you notice over in northern Alabama, for example, all this morning they had mostly snow, and now that's changing over to the freezing rain and sleet and rain, and that's going to be the case for us as that area of low pressure continues to lift to the north. We're watching our rainstorm line continue to lift to the north as well. Even some models showing us that it could get all the way up into the North Georgia mountains where it gets a little bit warmer, so they would have some of the sleet and freezing rain as well. Watching road temperatures, and probably needs a new update on this, but we're looking at some of the road temperatures now, and you can see up to the north where we have a road temperature at 29, so below the freezing mark there, over toward Route 76 and US 23 as well. A little bit down further toward the metro area, you can see Georgia 400 near Buford Highway at 30 degrees is the actual road temperatures, not the air temperatures. You're looking at 31 over toward Georgia 400 near Holcomb Bridge Road. Down toward the city, 75 near the 10th Street exit at 31, so below the freezing mark there. It gets a little bit warmer down here to the south over toward Noonan, right along I-85. You're looking at 32, so right at the freezing mark, just above the freezing mark, a little further down I-85, down into Troop near that way station down there on I-85. Chris talked about the icing we're going to experience, and mainly up here to the north and east of the city is where it can be pretty significant. We're talking about totals mainly get up to about 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. That is significant because not only will it continue to ruin the street conditions and try trying to drive or navigate around. You're also talking about power lines being weighed down, the trees also being weighed down by this. And so that's going to be a problem for us a little bit later on this afternoon. This kind of gives you a glimpse of what a quarter of an inch of ice could do. Not only the icy roads, but we're talking about tree limbs either sagging or snapping, because those will be on the weak side, and numerous power outages as well. If it gets higher than that, let's say it gets up to a half an inch of ice accumulation, that's really going to start to weigh things down. You're talking about widespread tree damage, also long-term power outages, and of course, dangerous roads. Roads become non-navigable, if I can say that word or use that word. Can't get out there. I don't care how big your car is. I don't care what kind of tires you use. Ice is ice, folks, and so you will slip and slide if you're trying to navigate around on about a half inch of ice. Don't want to do that at all. And so we'll be watching and monitoring that as we head through the rest of the afternoon and into tonight. The other thing that we probably haven't really talked about much is the wind speeds. Now, they're light out there right now. They will pick up briefly this afternoon and then become a little bit more calm once we get into the evening. Down in the evening hours with those calm winds around, we're going to see that temperature begin to fall off down into the 20s. So anything on the roadways will begin to freeze over. On the sidewalks is going to freeze over, which is why our winter storm warning and even our 11 Live weather impact will last through Saturday morning, may stretch even beyond that until we get those temperatures to warm back up. But also on Saturday afternoon, we'll see those winds begin to pick up as well. We're talking winds anywhere between 10, 15 miles per hour. Gusts will be a little bit higher than that. So anything that freezes on gates or on towers outside could become little projectiles as they're blown around in the wind, and that could cause some damage as well, especially if you are out and about. So you might want to stay in. Snow totals, not so much worried about that here in the metro area as that mixing has begun to take place. The more significant totals will be up to the north. We'll be looking at an additional maybe inch to 2 inches up in the far north Georgia mountains. Last seeing the snow this morning, I think, was Rabun County, and so you could see a little bit more of that snow coming into your area. Forecast track model shows the mixing continuing as we head into the 5 o'clock hour. Still have it around. By the 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock hour, we still have it around. Really not tapering off until we get to 10, 11 o'clock tonight. We'll be left with those clouds, and then again that refreezing will begin to take place, Jonathan. So driving around this afternoon will be a bit tricky, more so I think tonight into tomorrow with that refreezing taking place.